Hey, Jordan, parenting and family life is nuts. It's so hard. It's got so much ups and downs and crazy times, but it should change us as adults. Don't you think we should be like more mature, more loving than we like as time goes on than we were when we first started this adventure?
Yeah, if you're not, I mean, I don't know how much longer you could survive because that's all we have to do is we have to adapt. Like if I
Yes.
was the same person as when I got married or I had the kids originally,
Yeah.
as if I was that same person now,
Right.
I'd go insane. I
Oh
would
my
have no
gosh.
patience. I would have
Right.
no nothing.
Gosh. I'm even trying to imagine that for a second. Everyone try to
Right? Try to
imagine.
imagine that.
I mean, we're coming up on 20 years married. That'll be in 2 months. Will be your 20 years. If I was the same man as I was 20 years ago, I'll tell you right now, I would be divorced. I might be living in a
That's
van
right.
down by the river,
That's
and
right.
I don't know what the heck. I sure wouldn't be on a parenting podcast, right? I mean, let's actually go back in time. Let's start off our episode. Let's see. Here's my story. I was living with Jordan in his home, which would be your parents' home. You were a high school student, and I was living rent
This
free
was
in your guest room.
2003, 2004, 2002 era, somewhere
In,
around that time frame.
in your guest room in your house because your mom Velvet is so loving and amazing. She just took me in and took care of me before I headed off for grad school. And those are some good times, though, buddy. We were
We had
roommates.
a blast. We'd be hanging out, playing John Madden back in the day, every single day. Get a
Dude,
little fresh, playing basketball, going to the beach. Those are good times.
good times. You probably were a senior. Were you a senior in high school, junior in
Yeah,
high
around that
school?
time, junior,
And now
senior high
it's
school.
like, oh, I'm just living with this awesome family and this young man who I get to mentor is like a friend. You guys, we went to Hawaii together. You took me on your family vacation, and I was just like a big kid. I was good at being a bachelor. And then fast forward 6 months later, I'm married and I have a new roommate named Danielle.
Oh.
And oh my gosh, the selfishness, the video games, the angry outbursts, the arguing about money and sex and friends. Oh gosh, I was a mess, dude. I was so immature and so selfish.
And that's why you have to adapt, man. There's no way people who are once single doing their own thing are, you know, if they were to not adapt, there's no way the relationship would succeed. If parents are not
So
able to
true.
adapt, there's no way
Yeah.
parenting in that relationship is able to succeed. And I was, you know what I was
Yeah.
thinking when I was looking up, as you were talking about this, because, at that time, you were probably still playing Madden, right?
Well, so
Still
yeah,
playing video
John Madden
games,
Football is a video
right?
game that Jordan
Video
and I
game.
were
It's
very
so
much
fun,
into. It was our video games. Yeah, man, Madden
right?
caused a lot of problems in my marriage in the
Oh,
first
of
year or two.
course.
Please, yeah,
Because
please,
we're dorky boys. We're
yeah.
dorky boys. And I was like, okay, why do people always say that women are more mature than men? So I just Googled it real quick.
Okay.
And it said
Yeah.
so it said a 2013 study published in Cerebral Cortex offers a scientific explanation behind the common notion that men take longer to act their age than women do. According to the study, it's rooted in the fact that the female brain establishes connections to prunes and it prunes itself faster than the male
Oh,
brain. And
that
that's
makes
so
sense.
true. Like
So
when
true.
I got married, my wife was probably, she had
Yes.
to ask me. She'd be like, "Hey, are you going to propose?" Like she's already there and I'm still thinking I'm not even thinking about it yet, right?
Right. Yeah.
Or like, "Hey, we've been married for 5 plus years now. Let's have a kid." And I'm like, "No, I'm still the high schooler that just graduated not too long
Oh my
ago."
gosh.
Right?
Yes.
And so
Right.
it took time for me, but I'm thankful for these ladies in our lives that are more mature because if I would have
Yes.
waited to get married or if I would have waited to have a kid when I was ready, I feel like it would have been too late.
Oh, well
And I'm
said.
so glad I had it at that time
Hmm.
when I
Man.
wasn't ready because then I had to step up to the plate. It's like being thrown into fire. Like you're a
Yes.
CEO of a company, this is your first time, you've never done it before, you just get thrown into the fire and you got to figure it out as you go along, right? So
Hmm.
being a parent's kind of like that and hopefully when you're figuring it out, you're learning a lot and you're adapting constantly because if not, that's when I feel like these some of these stories that you've heard in your career have come up because it's those people who aren't adapting and adjusting.
They're not, man. They're not. And just listening to you tell that story just took me into a DeLorean. I went back in time And I just think that both of us, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm going to speak for you for a second. It's like we leaned on the wisdom of our more mature wives and their leadership and their like intuition to kind of help us to grow as men and then as dads. And now here we are. And so thank
Correct.
you. Thank you, women, for your patience.
Yes, thank you. Thanks for dealing with us dorky
Hmm.
men who can't
But
figure life out.
but also thank you to you too, because there's women listening to this right now, and their men are still acting like children and selfish children who don't put their wife, who put their kids first, who don't prioritize their family. And so there's just a lot of pain. There's a lot of people in pain right now listening to us, kind of celebrating our wives and how far we've come. There's research that I love to quote back to because I just see it in my work all the time. Jordan, have you ever heard of the term extended adolescence?
No, but it sounds like it just means, you still have that childish mentality as you're an adult.
Yeah. So what sociologists have determined this is actually happening. It's been happening for decades here, especially in America, because it wasn't that long ago that 18-year-olds had to go off to war, the
Right.
Revolutionary War, the Civil War. They had to go to the factory. They had to become farmers. They had to do all these things. And now with our culture the way it is, and now more than ever, is like young people, girls and guys, they get to be children for a long amount of time. You can even go to college and just be a kid there. You can do drugs. You can take 5, 6 years to be a kid, and then you can move back in with mommy
With your
into
parent.
mommy's
Yeah.
house
Yeah.
and kind of figure out life, or maybe go through Europe. That's like just this like delaying like adulthood. And I'm not saying it's bad. These
I
things. I'm
am.
just
I'll
saying,
say it right now. I
yeah,
think it's bad. I'm
yeah,
going to say it
good. Say
because
it.
I
Why?
do. I do. And coming across my feed a lot is, some people don't like him. I think he's brilliant. Is Jordan Peterson, and he talks a lot about like the parental role, the husband role, the wife role, how it's this symbiosis, this relationship with each other that makes you one. Right? That's talked in the Bible. You
Yes,
have the man and the
yes,
wife, and when you get married, you are one. And
yes,
so unfortunately our society has delayed everything,
yeah.
and I see people in their mid to upper 30s still single and going to the clubs, and I'm
Uh
just like,
huh.
I feel sorry for them because I
Yeah.
feel like they're lost and there's a hole they're trying to fill and they can't figure out why they can't fill it. But
Mm.
if they would have stepped up to the plate when they're younger, that hole would have been filled by screaming and boogers and snots
Oh
and
my gosh.
and marriages that are crazy,
Wow.
but you're learning and growing as
Wow.
an adult when the reality is they don't start the growing process now till they're almost 40 years old. And that
So
time I think it's
deep.
too late.
Jordan, that is incredibly deep, man. Yeah, they're delaying this selflessness experience of family life because of different reasons. Maybe they're afraid, maybe they're not interested, and they want to cling on to the selfishness of single life for a long time. And then they hit a stage and it causes problems. Dude, that was very
Right.
insightful. That was
I feel
very
bad. I mean, when
insightful.
I see, there's several people in my life right now, I see that. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I wish they could speed things up. And then by that time you try and speed things up and now you're having problems. You can't get pregnant. You got to go to the doctor. You got to figure things out because you're now geriatric pregnancy, and which is like 35 years old or older is
Yeah.
considered a geriatric pregnancy.
Oh my
And
gosh.
isn't that crazy?
Wow.
And so it's just our bodies, historically
Yeah.
speaking, we're meant to kind of ramp
Yeah.
things up at a
That's
younger
true.
age than what we're doing now.
That is scientifically true right there. So what we did for today's episode, everybody, is we want this episode to just encourage you and inspire you, not to give you any mom guilt or dad guilt, but to give you a vision of where you are and where I want you to go, where I want to go. And I've got 5 mores of how parenting should change you. Well, Sean, I don't like that to should. What are you talking about? Should. Well, I don't. You know what? I'm fine with the word. It should change us, and we should be more of these things in the future than we are today. And Jordan and I both agree on these things. So, Jordan, are you ready? Can I share the first thing and let's talk about it?
Yep.
Jordan, I cannot tell you how we should all be growing in patience and how family life and marriage and parenting should make us more patient.
And I don't know if that's like a parent thing or if that's an age thing. You know what I mean? I don't really know
No, what
many
do you mean
like
by that?
older people. Life. gives you more patience, right? Because you've gone through experiences. When you're young, you haven't gone through
Yeah.
experiences. So you try to do as many things as you can. You want to try to climb the corporate ladder. But by the time you're 40, 50, 60 years old, you've already done that. So now you kind of have that patience, is my thought process. But I'm also questioning, as I'm saying this, is that because of age or is it because you have gotten married, you have kids, you've understand that, so now
Mm.
you have more patience also? I
Think
think it's
about
maybe it's both. It's age, it's also the life
here's
experiences.
here's what I'm thinking. One of my favorite people in my life is my father-in-law. His name is Jeff Minnie, and he's just a wonderful person all the way around. I talk about him a lot in my book that hopefully is coming out soon. And he's just I hear from his daughter, my wife, that he was younger, Jordan. He was not very patient, and I can see that. And when he's working, he's retired from his successful construction business. I worked with him for a while. He can be very impatient, but he's just developed. Here he is in his mid to late 60s. He's a very patient man. I was walking my dog a few days ago, and my dog is 1 years old, was walking by another person's house, and these two beautiful huskies came up to the fence of the house. So they were locked in the property behind the fence. You have the picture. And so what
Yes.
did my dog do? My dog gets all excited because 10 feet away there's these two big dogs that are coming up to greet him. So I
Sure.
just pause, and I'm not going to let my dog go on this man's property to go kiss these other dogs because I'm a new dog owner. So I'm just pausing and I'm letting them look at each other. And guess what happened next? This guy comes out of his property and in a super rude, mean tone, is like, "Hey, can I help you? You have a problem here? What's going on?" He comes at me like that, and I'm just in shock. I don't even say anything. I'm filled with rage, right? Like this old man is just coming at me, and I just want to snap back at him.
Mhm.
So what do? I take a breath. I think about giving him a dirty look. I don't. I think about saying something smarky. I don't. I take another breath and I walk away. And I just take care of my mind. Who do we want to be when we're old? Do we want to be like Jeff Minnie? Or do we want to be this old crusty dude who's yelling at
Right.
people? So parenting should is so hard, and it's this everyday invitation of patience. And it's hard. And so you might be thinking, no, parenting has actually made me less patient. No, I don't think it has. I think parenting is actually pushing you, it's molding you. These kids are not your enemies, they are the tools that are shaping you and me to be the best version of ourselves, to be the most loving, the most patient, the most godly, the most kind, the most whole. And it's these kids, and we're thankful for them because they are the ones that are actually bringing out this patience in us.
That's deep. And I want to make sure everybody's hearing this right now because there are plenty of us listening. I'm one of them who thinks, well, he's not talking about me. I don't have enough patience. I could always have more patience. And let's be true. Yes, we could always have more patience, but we have so much more patience now than we did when we started this process. We just
Yes.
sometimes can't see that growth when we're in it. But we've all come a long way, and you need to kind of pat yourself on the back and celebrate that. Yes, we could
Yes.
always grow, we could always do better, but I 1,000,000% am way more patient now than I was 9 years ago when I had my twins originally. I had no patience, and that was really tough.
Really, I had no patience either. I had no
No
patience.
patience.
And so, yeah, so for all you young parents listening, I just want to just give you a pat on the back. Just keep doing the work you need to do. And for us, older parents, veterans of parenting, let's just really press our minds into becoming more patient than ever. And I have a quote that I like to read. I found a couple quotes that I think were really cool. Can I read one?
Yeah,
Okay. Our patience will achieve more than force by Edward Burke. What do you think about that?
that's deep. Yeah. Well, I mean, let's think of your story for a second. And the biggest thing I learned was the fact that you didn't snap, you took a breath, you didn't
Mm,
say anything because
mm,
all of us were like, who is this guy to come at me when I got my dog on a leash, not letting him attack your dog? Your dog's running up to me. This dude's running. You know what I mean?
exactly.
There's so many things that could
Exactly.
happen. And you just stopped and were calm in that process, which is tough to do.
You're right. I wasn't even thinking about my own patience, but I just took a breath. I guess I practiced patience because I didn't react. I wanted to. And you know what's a cool story? For the next 7 houses. I was pretty salty, man. Like
Oh, I'm sure, to yourself or to that person.
oh yeah, I was pretty using the word the teens use. I was pretty butthurt, man. I was freaking pissed. I was like, F that guy. I was like imagining all this stuff in my head that I could have said,
Yes.
should have said. And then all of a sudden, this is a cool story. I wasn't even planning on saying this. I'm walking by the 7th house, and this guy, this really adorable looking, pleasant man who's probably 40 years old with a nice beard and short shorts and sandals comes out. He gives me a wave. Hey there, from his garage. And I'm like,
Yeah.
hey there. And I wave back and he gives me a nice smile. And I'm like, dude, thank you.
Yeah.
Brotherly love, Philadelphia, neighborly love. My heart just was like, thank you. That's what I
That
needed.
is so good. That is so good.
And then actually, here's what happens. He said, hey, are you on TikTok?
Shut the front door.
I said, yeah.
No, you didn't.
Gosh, I've seen you around the neighborhood, man. I'm a huge fan. I just want to say hi. Thank you. I was like, hey, man, thanks. And I looked at him, and he's like, yeah, I'm just brewing some beer right now. I'm just kind of hanging out. And he's like so happy.
This is your new best friend. You need to make sure you need to set a plan to go see him again.
Well, I invited myself in. I said, hey, man, I can come on down. You want to chat? He's like, yeah, come on down. And we go down there. He's got a Sublime poster. He's brewing his beer. He's like, let me introduce you to my kids. He's bringing his kids out. Oh my
gosh, that is so funny.
He's got, adventure gear down there. He's just like, he's like me. I was like, dude, this guy is so cool. And like, I'm happy to be here. Am I being creepy by like inviting myself into his garage while he's brewing his beer? So we just chat about brewing and life and so that's a cool story. Patience.
That is very cool. And think about how if you would have reacted or didn't drop those emotions, that whole moment would have passed by. And you wouldn't even have the story right now, right?
I think
that is so cool.
I think here's another quote. This one's very powerful. Patience is not the ability to wait. Patience is to be calm no matter what happens. Constantly take action to turn it into positive growth opportunities and have faith. Have faith to believe that it will all work out in the end while you are waiting.
While you're waiting. That's right. That's the hard part, especially while you're waiting. You can't see progress. It's like...
Yeah, can't see progress. I think the reason why we snap at our kids to get their seatbelts on quicker is we snap at our kids to eat quicker. We snap at our kids to get in the car is because we feel powerless. And that is a powerful emotion. We do not like the pain of feeling powerless. I felt powerless that day when that old man snapped at me. I literally wanted to jump over and like beat him up. And I could have, and I'm not going to because it's weird. But I feel powerless. Like my power is taken from me. My life's taken from me. I can't control this situation. And I can either react or I can choose patience.
Yeah, since I kind of reside on the southeast part of the country, a popular pastor over in this side of the country is Andy Stanley, especially in Georgia. And he's in this series right now where he talks about situations like this, right? Everyday situations. And he just throws a what if out there. He's like, what if you were in these moments were to think about letting the other side win? Because think about it. You felt powerless. You felt all these feelings because you wanted to basically win in that moment. You wanted to make sure that this person knew how you felt and that they're in the wrong and that you checked them. But he's like, well, just what if you let them win and you go about your day and you don't let it bother you? Where will that take you? And he just kind of throws this idea. And that's kind of like what you're talking about.
Yeah. And actually, it's kind of cool because where did it take me? It took me to this awesome guy's garage.
Right. If a guy cuts you off and flips you off while he's cutting you off in the freeway and it makes you all raging for the rest of the day, where does that take you? Just let that person win and not let it bother you.
I can tell you where it can take us. And it can take us into these next 4 mores. How should parenting change you? It should make you more loving of a person.
It should make you more loving. Well, shoot. You know what's funny? I think about that all the time. We all have a love bucket. Right? You're at we all have a bucket. It's full of love. It's 100% full.
Yeah.
But it's like I got married, my bucket was 100% full. I had a kid, I had 2 kids at the same time. My bucket grew. It like got bigger. It was weird. And like I have more love now that I feel like I have to give and then I'm also receiving even though it's already full. It's weird. I can't explain
Yeah.
it.
Well, it makes me think somehow we keep coming up with this man with his two dogs. Like, is that man lacking love in his life? Like, what is that man lacking? In fact, I even told Brandon and his wife, yeah, I just had a hard experience. I like started venting with them because it was like I wanted to talk, I wanted to get it out. Yeah, I just had a hard experience with your neighbor. She's like, oh, was the neighbor? Did he have like a lot of Disney stuff in his front yard? I was like, yeah. I
Oh,
was like, yeah,
jeez.
yeah, that guy. It's like so, yeah. So it's like this Brennan and his wife like showed me love by welcoming me in, saying nice things to me. I showed them love by just saying nice things to them. It's like this is the answer to so much of our world's problems is and so much to solve our family problems. Our families need more love, and we
Hmm.
need more love, and that's what
And we
parenting
need to
should
think
do.
about that. I think we need to think about the idea of love throughout the day because it's something you don't really think about.
Oh,
Like you say it, I love
that's
you,
true.
but like think about what that means to love someone and to when they say I love you too, like to feel those words, to feel
Wow,
the
love.
that
Yeah.
feeling, feel the love. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I'm going to
to
ask you a
feel it.
question right now that if you ask 10 people this question, you probably get 10 different answers. So um, as I asked Jordan, anyone's listening, I want you to answer this question. Jordan, what is love? Like,
Got
like
to
is it
do with it. Got to do
got to
with
do
it.
what love? Yeah. Or how about baby, don't hurt me. What is love? That song from Ronnie the Roxbury,
Roxbury.
Hadaway.
Yeah.
Hadaway. We're talking about a
Dum, dum, dum.
one-hit wonder. What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. So no,
That's right.
I know it's a weird question, and I'm just putting you on the spot like I do. But what do you think it
Well, you know
is?
what's funny? One of my favorite movies is Interstellar. It's
What?
Matthew McConaughey. It's great. It's just a cool space travel movie, time travel movie. And there's a part of it where they're trying to figure out which planets to go to, and they have to try and quantify love because
That's
Dr.
right.
Brandt feels this feeling towards this other space traveler, and she wants to go to that planet. And he's like, "You're jaunted because of your feeling for love." And she's like, "Well, maybe love is something that we need to take into consideration." But like, I don't know if science, can really break down what it is. It's this feeling where it's like
Mm,
sometimes I could actually feel it in my heart. It's the weirdest thing when like
wow.
when I get a good hug and like I can feel that love. My heart like opens up, or like sometimes when I'm worshiping, you could feel that. I don't know what it is, but
Mm,
it's 100% got to be something somewhat spiritual
wow. Okay. I like
to
your
me.
answer. Yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. If you ask 10 people, what is love? You're going to get 10 very, very different answers. What
What's your
else is?
answer? What's your answer?
Hmm. My answer is love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it is not dishonoring to others, it is not self seeking, it is not easily angered. It keeps no records of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. That's the first thing I think of when I think of love. There's a quote in
And
the
it is all
Bible.
those things. It is all those things.
I don't
It's
think that
you
man.
will do anything for the thing you love or for the person you love.
Yeah, I don't think that man showed me much love on my walk with my dog that day, but I think that Brandon and his family did. I think that we need more patience in our homes. We need more kindness in our homes. We need more less self-seeking behaviors in our homes. We need more loves in our homes. Do you agree?
And we need to love ourselves. A lot of people don't
We
do
need to
that.
love ourselves. Yeah, loving ourselves means setting boundaries, doing self care, filling our lives with good friends, good people, good hobbies, good healthy things,
Hmm.
right? Loving ourselves. You know what else I think of? I think of the five love languages. Like if we had more of these languages in our life and we gave more of them, life, family life would improve. More words of affirmation, more quality time, more acts of service, more gifts, more physical touch. If we had more love, life would be better. So wouldn't it make sense that here we are on planet Earth for a short amount of time? We want to be more than we are today. We want to be more patient in the future. We want to be more loving, and we want parenting and these kids to help us. And they are our tools. They are our path. They are our journey. They are our helpers in becoming these more patient, loving adults.
Yeah. And each one of us, kind of receives love in a different way, right? That's why there's these five different love languages. And for you, they might be different than for me, how I would rank them. but they're all there and they all count.
I don't know if this is a good image. Do you think this image, like, let's say that you're trying to lift weights and like do a bench press,
Oh yeah.
and you're trying to do it, and you're like,
Can you spot me, bro?
spotting, yeah.
Spot me,
I
bro.
can't do it. I can't do it, Sean. It's just too heavy. The weight's too heavy. I can't. It's too hard. If you're, it makes me think of this. There's parents listening to this right now. Sean, you don't have no idea who my family is. You have no idea. It's too hard. They're too crazy. They're too mean. They're too selfish. I can't be more loving. I can't be. So you're actually blaming them for why you are not more loving and patient if you talk like that or think that way. You with me? So
Yes. So you're that's negative. Yes.
if I can't lift a bench press, I'm blaming the weights for my
Gravity. Just too much.
circumstances.
Gravity's
Too
too
much
much.
gravity.
Too
But
much.
what is actually true here is that it's actually the exercise itself. It's the actual lifting of the weights, which is actually going to make you stronger.
Right. That's good.
Right?
That's very good.
So
Yes.
those challenging people in your life are actually the ones who are going to make you stronger. They're not the ones to blame. They are your helpers. They are your
Right.
gifts.
Right.
How you view them really matters.
Especially if they're in your family and they're part of you. I would argue that if they are friends who speak this way and you want to get rid of them because you're the average of your 5 closest friends, and so if you have people challenging you all the dang time and you're around that, you're going to go crazy. But if it's your family, I feel like they're there to help you lift those weights and to get to where you need to be.
I know that for me, when I started viewing my wife as my helper, she's the number one person who's going to challenge me to be the best man I can be. When I change my mindset and I see like this is her job, and this is my oldest daughter's job, who is our most challenging child. Like they are there for me, not against me. It changed everything. Right. My mindset changed. My reactions changed. My patience changed. Do you have anybody in your life? It could be your kids or your wife who has been really hard on you at times, challenging, stressful. But now you actually see them like, I'm thankful because this person or these people have actually brought out the best in me. Anybody come to mind for you?
I mean, I would just say it's everybody that I've kind of grown up with that has, helped me become who I am. I don't have anyone other than, my wife I've spent more than half my life with, so pushed me in that way. But, as you say this, it's good for me to think that my wife is here to push me. She's part of my team. My kids are here. They're part of my team to make me better. Yeah. But would you also say it could be important to hear that from a spouse perspective? Because I feel like so many of us, A, we don't think that way, but B, sometimes we kind of need a reality check as to like, I don't know. I mean, some people can be competitive, right? Like my wife is a cheerleader. We can be competitive with each other. And you're not saying this happens, but sometimes that competitiveness can show up in your marriage. And the reality is you both need to wake up and be like, hey, no, we're not racing against each other. We're trying to help each other. We're on the same team here. Yes. So sometimes I think we need to have that conversation, that dialogue within our household so that we all are like, yeah, it's a halftime pep talk. You're right. We are in this together. Yeah, let's go. Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Yes. Because yes. We're going to fight with each other sometimes. That's just human nature.
It is, man. It is. It's like I used to be upset that my wife was so sensitive about things. And it still is a challenge, her sensitivity, because I'm not as sensitive as her or as sensitive to many things. But now I just have trained my mind to be so grateful that I have a sensitive wife who is more sensitive to things, and it helps me to grow in sensitivity and to understand people, have more social awareness. It's something I struggle with, social, social
anxiety, social
anxiety, not anxiety, like social awareness. Like I can just be kind of out there.
And yes. You know what I mean? Got it. Yes, I do.
I don't understand.
That's also like a masculine versus feminine thing. Definitely. I was the same way as you. It would go right across my head. I had no idea. Whoops, I didn't even catch that.
So our next more is something that you actually already alluded to when you brought up the Peterson quote. I think parenting should change us, and parenting should make us more family focused, not selfless focused. Like, what is family focused? It means it's not about you. your world is not about you anymore. And if you want it to be about you, well, then you shouldn't have kids. Because
Yeah.
as soon as you brought those children into your life, you signed up for something. And yes, to be a great parent, you've got to become a family focused thinker, right?
Yes, you have to. And if we could go back into the DeLorean and jump into the future and remind ourselves that this moment is going to be gone and you could be back to being alone. If you don't take this family seriously, if you continue to go down the selfish route, you're going to be alone in the future, which is sad. I
Ooh,
and there was a gentleman I crossed paths with recently, and
okay.
I can't remember if I told this story or not, but he's from a different country, and he goes, yeah, he was older. He's like, it's time for me to go back. And I'm like, oh man, well, did you have fun while you're in the United States? He's like, I had a great time. I had an amazing life.
Yeah.
I had a wife. I got 4 kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, really? Well, where do they live? He's like, oh, they're in Ohio. He's like, but I
Oh,
don't have any relationship with them anymore. And I'm
okay.
like,
Oh
really?
boy.
He's like, yeah, they won't talk to me. I've tried. I don't know what happened, but he's alone. He's old. He's on the back end of his life, and he's moving back to a different country without his family by himself. So
Wow.
sometimes we kind of need to get in that
That's
DeLorean
sad.
and look ahead to
That's
change
sad.
our actions now.
It's something I've been thinking a lot about recently. I see it a lot on social media. Is like, yeah, partly why we have kids is, and this is something that the ancients was to never think about because it was so obvious. But partly why we have kids is so that we have company, when we reach 50, 60, 70, 80, and 90, right? We have
Right.
family. We have people there for
Mm-hmm.
us. And like, it's just wild that we have to remind ourselves of that because the culture is just so whacked out. It's like so
Yeah,
selfish based.
I know. I mean, it used to be a village, right? It takes a village to raise a kid. Like we would all be in this together. And now everybody is so divided and
Yeah.
you're by yourself and you're on your phone with no real friends. I'm just
Yeah.
throwing out randomness right now. But you know what I mean? Like we don't have that connection anymore and we have to reverse it somehow.
Makes me think of this man. I'll change his name for the sake of privacy. I'll call him Jerry. Jerry is in his mid 70s, and he's like a family friend, and he's single, never been married. I love hanging out with Jerry. Can I tell you why? Jerry is a very successful businessman. He's very wealthy. He owns 2 limos. He
Those are
goes
still a
to
thing? Limos? Like the long
yeah.
ones?
He has his own private driver,
Okay.
and he owns numerous houses. And he plays fantasy football. We laugh together. He makes jokes. We hang out, even though he's 30 years older. And I love hanging out with this dude. He's very generous. So we'll go to Napa Valley, and he'll just be buying all types of stuff, like out of a movie. Sounds pretty fun,
Oh,
right? And my
yeah.
wife and I love hanging out with him. He's just fun and positive, and takes us in his limos occasionally. And he said something to me about 4 years ago that I will never forget. And now I'm sharing it on a podcast without his permission.
It's okay. It's Jerry. He'd want you to
You're,
share it.
he says, Sean, I look at your life, and I wish I could go back in time, man. Never been married, no kids. I would have done things differently. I would have gotten married. I would have had kids. I wish, I want what you have. And I'm sitting here as someone who's got 2 broken down used cars, who is wants way more in life, wants the ability to have more money, more pleasure, more happiness. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? You want to be me? I want to be you. I want
Yeah.
you, what you have. But it was just a reminder, no, I do not want that, man.
Right.
What do we really want? We want to be 60 and we want to be going to Christmas at our kids' houses and being around our grandchildren, don't we? We
Right.
want to,
That's what
we
life's
want,
about.
it is. It's about family focus. And I sure as hell do not want to be one of those guys that whose kids move out of the house and is looking back, Jordan, and says, you know what? I've just really missed it. I missed the boat. I have not been present with my kids during their childhood, and I've been working too much. I've been drinking too
Mm-hmm.
much. I've been on my
Mm-hmm.
phone too much, and I've really missed these opportunities. I would never. That sounds like a nightmare to me.
And that's another reason why, this specific podcast about how parenting should change you, because we adapt, right? When you first have kids, you're maybe, for gentlemen out there who are golfing once, twice, 3 times a week, that has to change or you're not going to have that relationship. Now, for some
Has
of
to
us,
change.
we want it to change because we want to spend more time with our kids. What's
Yeah.
interesting to me is sometimes people never get that connection and then they don't want to spend more time with their kids. And so they keep being selfish. And then unfortunately, they'll look back later, I feel like, and regret that. So I think it's just wise for us to always be thinking about what, like the question you asked, what do we want
What do you really
in the
want?
long run? What do we
I,
want?
I think everybody gets what they really want. If you really want a nice, comfortable life and to be on your screen a lot and avoid chaos and avoid pain, avoid your children, you know what to do. Fill your life with screens and technology and do it. And you'll get what you want. You won't get what you really, if you really, really, really want something, though, you'll get it. If you really want a healthy family with connected kids who balance their screens and enjoy grandma and grandpa when they come over, you can get it. You might have to work harder and make some changes in how you're going about your life, but we all get
Right.
what you really want. And I just think parenting should change us. And you know how else I think it should change us? Parenting should make us more gentle. More gentle. What do you think about that word, gentle?
Yeah, I feel like it's similar to patient, right?
Oh, okay. What do you?
Patient
Why?
slash gentle.
Oh,
Gentle would be more of like the touch,
oh,
rather
okay.
than patient is more about the time,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So
Here's.
gentle being delicate, being
Mm-hmm.
less harsh, less
Yeah.
less neighbor dude that you just ran into
Right.
with the dogs.
I've got a few antidotes I want to get your thoughts on. The first one is this: is that this term "gentleman" has been around for a long, long time. Ladies and gentlemen, you'll be a gentleman. You open the doors. Open doors for lady. You got to be a gentleman. It's a cool term, gentleman, right? But
Yeah,
it's actually
yeah.
a gentle. Break it down. It's very clear. It's
A
gentle
gentle man.
man. A gentle
Gentle person.
man. And so, if we want to raise gentlemen, we've got to show them what gentleness looks like, how gentle acts, and we've got to talk about the word gentle. Don't you think?
Yeah. How do we so is that something that we need, like now I'm thinking I don't even know if I've ever used that term before. Is that something we
Right.
use as a parenting tool, like kind of like the word trust, like I trust you. Should I be bringing up the word gentle so that I can bring this awareness? I don't even know if, other than the word ladies and gentlemen together, how often do you use the word gentleman?
Exactly.
You
That's
know
my
what I mean?
point. If we want to
I've said it a couple
raise,
times. I'm like, no, good morning,
right,
gentlemen. And I'll say that as I'm walking past them.
and we want to raise strong, tough kids, yeah, of course. But that's not what we're talking about right now. We're talking about raising strong, tough kids who also can be gentle when it's time to be gentle. Who's going to
Yeah.
show them this? Who's going to teach? Are they ever going to take a class on how to be gentle when you don't feel like being gentle? No. Are
Right.
they ever going to take a class on how to be effective communicators when you're all hot and bothered and you want to shut down and you want to rage? So I just think it's a cool term. But yes, the answer is yes. Let's talk about the word gentle in our
Right.
house.
Right. I'm thinking like, okay, we're every day running errands. We're all together as a family, and I open the door for my wife, and I say, see, kids, I open the door for your mother to be a gentleman," or something like that. Just kind of bringing that term up.
I like that. Let's brainstorm some other alternatives for that because
Okay.
here's what I've learned. I've learned that I have one child who is a good, strong young adult, but we've been working with this child for years now because the tone can be pretty harsh
Okay.
and uninviting. And so we're saying, look, I just think that if you have more gentleness in your tone,
Right.
put some sugar and
Right.
spice on what you're saying,
Yes.
it's going to go a long way. Now, how do I teach that to her? Do I teach her like that? Or do I teach her like, gosh, you are so mean. You have a problem with your attitude. You're
Right.
so,
That's not gentle.
right? Do I teach gentleness by being gentle or by scolding? Right?
Right. Yeah, that's
I think
wise.
what's interesting too is that if you have problems with your siblings fighting each other, let's just say all boys, did you know that the solution to that problem could be you've
Boxing
got
gloves. Oh,
that could be
sorry.
it. That
Sorry.
could be the solution. but it actually might be, how do you incorporate a home culture of more gentleness in your house? Doesn't that make
Yeah.
sense? Because
Yes.
let who you know, I didn't even know. I didn't. You think I was a very gentle person when I was 30 years old? Do you think that?
No.
You know me. You've known me my whole life. Do you,
I
you
mean,
know?
you were, but like I could see where you're coming from, not compared to now.
Right. So who taught me the arts of gentleness? Was my dad, who was never there for me? Did he teach me that? No. Did my mother, who is not her strength is gentleness? No. So can you imagine where
You
you're
went to
where
the gentleman's club down the street. Is that where you learned
Oh
it?
my gosh. Inappropriate joke. Great timing.
That's where you learned
Great
it.
timing at a gentleman's club. No, unfortunately there is no gentleman's club. And what we're actually talking about, this is kind of deep, man. We're actually talking about two versions of gentlemanness. What does it mean to be a gentleman? If you ask 10 people, they'll probably say they open doors for people, right? And they say please and thank you, right? But that's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about just
Right.
opening
I
doors.
would argue it's to take care of those you love, right? Specifically, if you're in a relationship to your spouse. But
Mm,
it's deeper than that, as you're indicating. It's deeper than that.
yeah. Yeah, it is. It's about
It's like a whole lifestyle. It's a
how do you
whole
talk?
how you go about things.
Yeah. And this is not just for, this is not just for boys. There's a lot of mean girls out there. There's
Of
a
course,
lot
right.
of
Right.
salty tweens and teenagers, and they are so ruthless with their parents. Can you imagine what these young girls would be like if they would just improve their gentleness?
Mhm.
Like in how they talk to their parents, their siblings. It would change everything. They don't need counseling. They don't need therapy. They may not need medication. You know what they may need? Is just more gentleness in how they communicate.
Yeah. And that there's an art in that too, how to communicate properly. A lot of us, there are not a lot of classes to take on that, but it's a life skill that can take you a long way. Shoot, man,
Yeah.
you learn to communicate properly, you can be the best salesperson out there for your company. But there is a way to move people like the
Yeah.
ocean pushes water. Like
Yeah.
just and some people have a talent with doing it. You're
Yeah.
so good. You teach us how to do these things. I'm like, man, I would have never thought to
Mm,
do that. It's instead of fighting fire with fire, it's you're dancing and allowing the fire to burn one way so that you can eventually mold it to push back
right.
the other way.
And as before we move on to our last more, let me share a quick antidote. Let's say that you are listening to this and you're a cop. You're a fireman. You are a tough business woman and you are a strong person and you've got to be tough. You ready for me?
Yeah,
I would be
bring
willing
it.
to bet that in your professional life, you use gentleness all the time. You use, whether you're a cop, you're a fireman, you're a business person, you are in customer service. I would be willing to bet that partly why you are so successful in your craft of business is because you have been able to master the arts of gentleness when it's needed. Do you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, you're saying in the job world there are times when we have to be gentle.
Yeah. And so if anyone's thinking here, oh, I can't be gentle. I can't
Right.
be gentle.
But
Gentleness is
you've already
hard.
done it.
You've already done it.
Yeah.
This is like a big breakthrough for some people. You already have mastered gentleness. You just haven't
Right.
mastered it in your home, you big bozo.
Right.
But you intellectually have done it in your career many, many times, maybe for years and years. You big
Mm-hmm.
dummy. I'm just
Right.
calling them names.
Well, we don't realize that sometimes. Sometimes we got to be flicked on the forehead and say, "Hello, wake up. You're already
Yeah,
doing it. Let's bring
already
it home
doing it.
now. Let's bring it home.
Bring it home. Oh, let's bring it home.
Bring it home.
That's I like how you said that. That's beautiful. Let's bring
Bring
it
home the
home.
trophy. Bring
All right, you
home the moolah."
all right, you ruined it. You ruined it. All right.
Sorry.
All right. Now this last one is, I think, the best. I think the best. More.
Bring home the cheddar.
Because
Sorry.
if you can do this more, if you can do this one more, I think you will probably do all the mores. I think it's the most hard more to do. And I'm getting a little wordy. How parenting should change you? I think it should change you. And I think it should make you a more present person.
Amen, brother. Be more present. I literally just sent my wife an email this morning saying how when I was going to bed last night, I was like, ecstatic at the stage of life I'm in right now.
Uh-huh.
Honored to be able to be a father, to be a husband, to be a
Wow.
brother, to be a, a son. And I'm like, this is so cool. And I want to remember this time in my life right
Mm.
now because everything's going so dang fast.
Yes. Slow it down, be present. Because when you're not present, it's going to be hard to be patient. When you're not present, it's going to be hard to be loving. When you're not present, you're going to get caught up in all the stupid distractions and stuff in life, and you'll lose vision for the family focus that we want to have. And if you're not present, you're going to have a hard time being gentle.
Mm-hmm.
Presence, man. Our episode 1 of our whole podcast, the Sean Donohue show, was about presence.
That's right. That's right. Because a
Right.
lot of us tune presence out. We mute it with drugs, alcohol. We mute it with screen time, watch shows. We let time slip through our fingers and distract ourselves instead of doing what maybe we're supposed to be doing and sit and smell the flowers. Wait, what's that saying? I said
Sit
it
and
wrong.
smell the flowers.
Yeah,
Roses, maybe. Smell
yeah,
roses.
yeah. Smell the
Let
rose.
me
Stop
let
and
me
smell the roses.
let me be vulnerable. Then I'll ask you the same question. The question is, what are the distractions in your life which are tempting you to lose presence with your family? I'll go first.
Oh,
Um,
I'll tell you right now. Yeah, you go first.
I've been I've been looking at buying a new truck, and
Yeah, being a man, get a
and
truck.
I've been looking online a lot, and it's just I need to set boundaries with that, and I need to chill out because it's robbing me from the
Oh, of
man
your
I want to
time.
be in my presence. It's
Yeah,
presence.
yeah,
Secondarily is, with the kind of the growth of this, podcast and the growth of all the social media, it's been hard. It's been hard for me to handle it at times, man. It's been a lot of messages, like hundreds of
yeah.
messages, companies, brand deals, just opportunities. It's just been a lot. And I need to balance it, man. And I need to not rob it from the man I want to be, the husband I want to be, the dad, the friend that I want to be. And I don't want any of this stupid stuff. Not stupid stuff. All this good stuff to
Right.
rob me of what's really who I want to be
Of
present with.
what's important.
What's
And that, of
really the
course,
most important.
you know, you can get so much advice on that, but delegate. You want to delegate as much as possible because we could work ourselves into the ground, man. We could work ourselves into the grave. We need to do the things we want to do while we're trying to be the person we're trying to be for our family. And it's hard.
Yeah,
There's a constant balance there that's really tough because you want to
constant.
do things yourself.
Yes.
And it's so great that you're in this position. Let's first celebrate that. Like you're getting people messaging you seeking for help and you're trying to help them. I get it. But you also, you know, it's like not Adam, Robin Williams was the best at making people laugh. And he
Yeah.
would make everybody laugh. I don't know how often he
Oh.
made himself laugh, you
Hmm.
know? And so like if you're
Jeez.
not taking care of yourself and your family, then why are you doing all this? Again, this is just speaking
Gosh.
rhetorically, of course.
So good. It's helpful to hear
P.S.
that,
I've been
man.
looking at trucks too, by the way, and man, there's so many cool ones out there right now.
I
I'm
know.
gonna get one too eventually. So I
All
get
right.
it. I
All
get it.
right.
And let's, being a kid playing with trucks, like that's totally cool. For me, it's like every night I just want to check out and like eat my dinner,
Mm-hmm.
maybe watch a show,
Yeah.
wind down,
Yep.
and go to bed.
Yep.
But if I do that, I'm missing out
Mm-hmm.
on an hour or more of quality time with my kids. And so and I look back, I'm like, why do I want to watch a show and just check out? Just because I'm tired. It's a long day and they make me laugh. But when I go back into my memories right now, I don't remember the way I felt when I watched a show last year at
No.
this time. I remember the time we had dinner and my son told me a funny joke. You know what I mean? So like
Yes.
I have to
Yes.
sometimes check myself and be like, no, you're not going to do that. You're going to sit at the table and you're going to have fun.
Yeah, man, there's a time and a place to check out and watch a show, self care. We got to have balance and figure that out. But yeah, there's this fine line, man, of presence. There's three things that come to mind for me. I think that for some parents, fear robs them of presence, Jordan. Just they're so scared. They make up horror movies in their head. They dwell on negative things. They imagine a scary future of how their kids are going to turn out bad or going to go down a bad path, or they think bad things are going to happen to their kids. And I think it really robs people from presence in the moment.
Well, maybe that's true, but then maybe the answer is being present would then keep those thoughts away. I don't know. If you're fearful that your kids are going to grow up to be blah, blah, blah,
Yeah.
being present them could probably limit that.
We have a powerful teen coaching experience where you can send your teenager to one of my coaches for this awesome high EQ level teen coaching experience, and it's very personalized. It's amazing, and one of the things that we teach teenagers who are struggling with anxiety or depression is, and we help them to know this, but to make it into their heart, is that anxiety means you're dwelling too much on the future, and depression
Mm.
means you are dwelling too much on the past,
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
and you're not living in the present. So,
Ah,
for those of you listening that are struggling with anxiety, it probably means you're making really, really poor choices in your self talk and in your mind. And you're imagining these horror movies happening in the future, which don't exist. And the
right.
reason to actually do it is to protect yourself from harm. They imagine scary stories in the future so that if they were to happen, they would have an idea of how to cope with that scary situation so they don't cause themselves harm. But the irony is, with people who suffer from anxiety or this type of negative self-talk train, which I can help you break, is that by actually doing this, you're causing yourself harm. By
Yeah,
dwelling on the future, you're harming yourself, which is
right.
ironic.
That is ironic. And I just think about in high school, like at that time, I was only present all the time, going from sports activities, hanging with friends. What do we, I guess I thought, what do we do this weekend? Which party are we going to go to? Are we going to go surf? But I was never really, I had my long term goals and plans, get good grades, go to college.
Yeah.
But maybe someone who's fearing that anxiety could potentially journal, right? Goal setting, focus on the now, have fun, but have your stress written on paper so you don't have to focus on it right now.
If we're living in our fears or living for the future, working, 50, 60, 70 hours a week, and it feels wrong to you, you might not, you might be living so much for the present, but too much for the future. And so,
Right.
Jordan, how parenting should change us. It should make us more patient, more loving, more family
Yes.
focused, more gentle,
Yes.
and more
Yeah.
present.
That's good. I love these. Thank you for giving us these tips. We can all reflect and move on to becoming a better self, better selves ahead. Can I
So,
tell you what I'm thankful for real quick?
yeah, wrap up our show with telling us, and we got crashed
Attitude of
again, just
gratitude.
like last episode. My 7-year-old daughter did something she's not allowed to do, and she's not normally does it. She just walked right in while we're filming the
Sean, you need to
podcast,
work on boundaries,
and
son.
she's begging us. Did you want to say hi again on the show, or do you just want to listen?
I I like listening, so
Okay.
Oh, great.
can I sometimes like peek and come in and watch?
Okay, we'll
Oh,
talk
that's
about
sweet.
that later. Do you want to
That's
share
sweet.
anything that you're thankful for?
Um,
Jordan and I will go first, and then you can end our show by saying something you're thankful for. Okay?
But can tell this?
Yeah, you sure can. Okay, Jordan, what are you thankful for, man? Attitude of
All right. So
gratitude. Start with
today,
today.
today I had an early day at work, and my wife was like, "Hey, why don't we go surprise the kids and have lunch at their school?" And I was like, "That is such a great idea." And I am just so thankful that I didn't come up with an excuse to do some. I could have done a million things, but I was like, I want to be present. I want to go have lunch with them, and I just want to go and see what it's like at their school. And it was incredible to be there with them. And
Yeah.
so I'm just
Oh,
thankful
so
for
nice.
the school for letting me do it, for my wife with coming up with the
Yeah.
idea, and for me for being present and be like, no, let's do this.
Oh my gosh, very nice. You know, and what I'm thankful for is that when human beings reach around age 12, they like to separate themselves from their parents. It's a normal type of like social and psychological developmental stage where they want to create independence. And I'm thankful that I have a 7-year-old daughter right now who wants to be with me.
Yeah, that's cool. That's
That
cool.
really wants to be with me and spend time with
Right.
me and come and crash my podcast. And these are
Right.
special times.
These
It's not
are.
gonna lie.
And when
It's not
she's
gonna.
13 or 14 or 15 hanging out with her friends, you're going to go and crash their party.
Yeah, flipping it. Hey guys,
You're
it's
gonna
my
flip
turn
it.
now. I just want to be with
Right.
you all the time.
That's right.
So I'm
That's
just
right.
thankful for I'm thankful for my teenagers and I'm thankful for my young child. And so, do you want to share anything that you're thankful for today, Kenzie?
Did you stop it?
Nope, it's still recording.
Okay. For my house, my
Oh.
family, my dollhouse. Mm.
And all you listeners, I'm thankful for you that Jordan and I get to inspire you and share these stories that we are a part of your life. We're so grateful for you. Thank you.